I'm sorry that this response took so long. I wanted to make sure I had all the facts together before saying anything. Recently, I've been accused by an ex girlfriend, along with an ex partner, of non consensually filming sexual encounters, being so rough and inconsiderate during sexual encounters that it bordered on assault, encouraging eating disorders, being into age play, along with a litany of other completely baseless, false accusations. The two.
Turkey Tom responded to the allegations. I'll say he did it pretty cleanly. Right now, there's two of the girls that kind of made this whole thing come about, and from the start, we could all kind of tell that they were a little bit crazy. I would not put them down as the most down to earth or real people. They seem a little bit just kooky, just a little nuts. I wouldn't judge them too harshly. Okay, they were dating Turkey Tom, and great looking guy. Okay, but the first one, she I guess was like a long time girlfriend for a bit, and Turkey Tom was able to actually, you know, get the allegations figured out and provide enough sufficient evidence that I would feel confident in saying that she both exaggerated and potentially made up a lot of it. Not necessarily any of what she stated was in any manner proven by what Turkey Tom displayed. Now, yes, he had like many photos just covered and edited, which, excuse me, is fair a little bit. Just because he's trying to keep some of the information private. It's interesting that you'll see when if you were to go watch his own video, which I would highly recommend. She herself shoots the pornography that they filmed together to the like the guy at some website that's for online gossip. I mentioned it in the last video. However, she basically what it comes down to is they would film each other having sex, engaging in intimacy, and he claimed that he claims and kind of brought about clearly that she really, really, really wanted to film and at the same time wanted it to be something a little bit more on the rough and tough side. We're talking a little bit of a grapey. She many times references their engagements as grape, which then he always replies with kind of, and you could say that it's to cover his own ass, which is true to some degree. Um, that is consensual. And I think that it's ironic the amount of times that he does mention that, which is totally fine. I do the same thing in that situation. But at the same time, you can kind of just avoid all of this by not going with the crazy one. As that white haired guy said before, don't stick your dick in crazy. I think that that's a great motto, honestly, because at the end of the day, by the way that this relationship was going, you could tell that there was some obsession. She also potentially was a previous fan who matched with him on Tinder, which is strange, be it. But there was some obsessiveness about her. Seems to be sort of as well blackmail that comes about. However, the second individual, she came out claiming that Turkey Tom did the same thing alongside this other girl, and she was a little bit more on the nose about wanting a relationship at the time. And she claims that she felt used. However, Turkey Tom makes it clear in the video that he never wanted a relationship, and he kind of made it clear to her that he never really wanted a relationship. And I see no problem with that. If you can make it clear what your intention is, the person who is choosing to, you could say, engage anyways, still stands, you could say, liable for engaging in it and not. I mean, you can claim use and whatnot. However, there was still consent being given to engage with Turkey Tom, and Turkey Tom was also making his intentions clear. I don't think that he was really coming across as the biggest user of all time. Tron reference. However, I don't know, just kind of a strange situation, an allegations. That's, I think, why people use the words allegations when it comes to these sorts of things, is because there's two sides to it. And pretty quickly, you can see that another side can completely change the narrative. And from what it looks like, I mean, I doubt that Turkey Tom has no enemies or whatever. He never did really address the whole um I think it was the baby thing. No, he did. He did mention it, but it was more from the standpoint of he just said that he likes to be called daddy. Personally, never really seen the appeal of that one, but let's not get into it. But yeah, just kind of thought it was a little bit interesting and something to little talk about a little bit. And I mean, it's kind of unfortunate because if he did not have all of the things that he had at his disposal, all of his evidence, it could have ended pretty poorly for him. I don't want to say cancellation was inevitable, but it was. These are the types of things that people talk about that get people canceled in a way that the public will dislike them. And I'm referring to Turkey Tom as a public figure is funny at times, just by the way that the video was formatted. But yeah, it's just kind of a strange little situation that I don't know. I don't think it should have been blown out to these proportions. And I mean, it seemed like everybody or a lot of people, nobody was really jumping on it. The biggest one I mentioned in my video, I kind of covered it, was Mizkif. He kind of just seemed like he wanted to give his thoughts on it. Of course, he seemed like he was open to the other side of it. Would I say that Mizkif's situation is the same as Turkey Tom's? No, Mizkif, to me, at least in my own vision, doesn't look like he was the nicest guy ever. And the allegations that were put against him are a little bit more on the dire side, especially because his response over a stream was, in my opinion, foolish. When you say that a girl was throwing stuffed animals at you, you kind of come across as a puss. And kind of like you're just, I guess, like reaching for things to compare with. And I mean, but there's two sides at all times. There's always going to be two sides. So I don't think that he doesn't have a side to it, and that Emaru, I believe it's Emaru, is not nuts. And maybe her bunnies did die because of her own negligence. But I don't know, just kind of a strange little situation I thought I'd weigh in on real quickly. Just kind of throwing this out there. But yeah, peace.